So I'll be completely honest with everyone here. I was not expecting to make a video about this new secret level TV show that just released its first half of episodes for on Amazon Prime Video. But one episode in particular, based on Warhammer 40k, was so awesome that I am now inclined to be making this video right now. So much so to the point where I now believe I might be getting converted into a fan of it when I wasn't a fan before. In this video, we're going to talk about why it was able to do that for me. As someone who is coming into the world of Warhammer 40k cold, without any knowledge of its lore and universe, I need all the real fans who see this video to comment down below if this episode really showcased what it's truly like to experience this entertainment IP. Like I said, I was not expecting to make a video about this TV series, which is an adult animated anthology series created by Tim Miller and the people from Love, Death, and Robots, where it gives you all these different short stories about many different video game franchises. As a massive gamer myself, I was very intrigued to watch this through, and the first 8 episodes I don't think was all that disappointing. There were a couple episodes that didn't really do it for me. Some others were decent, but overall, I really just like the angle that they went for with this series. Doing it in this short story anthology kind of series, I think, is a good way to introduce people to something that they may not have been interested in before. You don't beat them over the head with an hour-long episode or even give one of these franchises their own series. You just make a small enough story that someone could sit down with, watch in good time, and either be interested in it or not. The first 8 episodes follow several game franchises that I'm familiar with and not so familiar with, but in general, I've never played any game from them besides Pac-Man, I guess you could say, if I had to choose one that I know the best. But the one that surprised me the most, and is my favorite of them all, was the Warhammer 40k episode. Above all else, I was really not expecting just 20 minutes of screen time from this game's anthology story to lock me in as much as it did. 20 minutes that doesn't really feature all that much conversational dialogue, and for the most part goes really heavy on the action emphasis of it all. To me, this is probably why I was so attached to it. Sometimes in storytelling, you just have to let something play out and not give as much explanation to it. It's the classic case of what you hear a lot of people say nowadays, which is show and don't tell. I think this episode could easily have fallen under its own weight if it had had a lot more dialogue than what it did. Thankfully, we didn't get that, and what I did get was some of the most satisfying action I've seen all year. I think the best way to describe watching the action was thinking that I was a super nerd of this IP, but knowing that I knew absolutely nothing about it, and it automatically made me feel like I was one of the fans of it that knew just how great it was. It felt like I was going into an indoctrination of it with every single second that the action was on display. I know that's probably a weird way to look at it, but I don't care. I was nerding out at watching this. Once they get through that first section above ground and then go underground, that's where I got even more interested. It felt like I was watching the progression of an actual video game level. The first half felt like the beginner's level of getting through all the smaller enemies, and then in the second half underground, it felt like the expert level, only the smallest portion of players could get through. The scale of the action got bigger, but also the strength of the enemy did as well, with that weird looking eyeball creature that I know I'm going to get roasted for by Warhammer fans for calling it that, but that's the thing about this that I love so much. I want to get roasted by the fans for this because I want to learn so much more about it. I've got no idea what this thing is that the Space Marines are fighting, and I have no idea why they are fighting it in the first place. And I certainly have no idea why they dragged this case with some priest-looking dude inside of it only to use them at the final second in the boss fight. Sometimes great storytelling can be derived from the idea that the watcher is trying to ask as many questions as he or she wants to know the answers to. I think that only gets heightened even more once the episode ended with it showing us this Titus character, essentially being the one who is in the last stand against everyone else, and is the character that they alluded to at the beginning who has no fear and was able to beat this enemy because of that. So those are my feelings on the episode itself, and why it was able to convert me into a potential new fan of the Warhammer 40k brand. And I want to go further into explaining why I actually think that Secret Level, the show, might be one of the smartest ideas that we've seen in television in years. So obviously, I've mentioned it a few times already, but this is a short story anthology series. Each episode of the show is essentially no longer than 20 minutes, and I think the best thing about it is that it is essentially a taste test for the audience to see how interested they are in a video game IP. I don't think that you are necessarily meant to come away from these episodes thinking that they are going to be going down as one of your favorite all-time television episodes ever made. I would really love if more of these kinds of shows were made in the future for other brands and IPs. I think that Secret Level can keep doing its own thing for video games, but I would also love to see it in other areas as well. To give an example to that, look to an entertainment IP such as Star Wars. Star Wars is probably my single favorite fantasy IP, and they do something very similar there with the short story method of storytelling, and it's a series called Visions. Visions is an animated anthology television series that is created by different studios from all over the world, giving it that international appeal to itself. I think it's a very smart move to do something like that because it gets people into new kinds of stories, but also brings in entirely new audiences from all over who may not have been interested in Star Wars beforehand. Visions is one of my favorite things that Star Wars has done in the last however many years, and I think it's a good way to convert people into becoming fans of your IP. One of the criticisms I've seen of the Secret Level show so far is that people think that each episode ends too quickly, and then they want more of it. Not to be on the nose here, but I think that's almost this show's secret weapon. It's basically telling you, if you want more after this, then you have plenty to go and experience in the actual franchises themselves. Warhammer 40k, based on everything that I've seen and heard of it, is massive, and has some of the most die-hard and nerdiest fans to it, more than probably any other entertainment IP in the world. It's stuff like that that allows these kinds of brands to grow, and how it's always been done like that over time. I think here with Secret Level, it did its job in making me convert into potentially a new fan of the one that we talked about here today in this video. So there you have it. That's my commentary on the Warhammer 40k episode of the new show Secret Level. I can't wait to nerd out with all the fans about this in the comments below, even though I will have absolutely no idea what you are talking about, but I digress. What do you all think? Leave your comments down below and let's have a nice and respectful conversation about it. Thank you for stopping by my channel. If you want to see more moving forward from me with regards to film and television, and you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe if you are new here, and turn on that notification bell. I'm trying to build a community here on this channel, and your support would be greatly appreciated. That's a wrap, folks. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you all soon for the next video.